Futera presents Soccer Cards and Chill.
Hello everybody, it's Adam here. Just before we start with the show this week, I wanted to tell you about Futera Unique Live. It's a brand new collection from Futera. It's great to have cards available to buy for our collectors on the store. So before you watch or listen to this podcast, do head over to Futera.com and check out our new collection. It's Futera Unique Live. And see you over there and enjoy the show today. Cheers.
Hello there, welcome back to Soccer Cards and Chill. I have got Michael from Soccer Silverback on the other end of the Zoom here. Michael, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very, very well.
Good to hear in these strange times.
Yes, definitely.
The winters in England are pretty tough. How are they up in Stirling in Scotland? Next level.
They're getting tough. They're getting tougher. I think just the other night, I think it was -8. So yeah, we're doing well. We're doing well. It's kind of like Game of Thrones, I think, when you talk about up north. You know, winter's coming.
Winter's coming.
So
yeah,
winter's coming. It's definitely came. That's for sure.
Yeah, I have a little moan down here in Staffordshire about how cold it gets, but it's got nothing on -8. I'm not sure if it's ever been -8 here. But mate, hey, what is that? Is that the reason for the beard then? Does that keep you warm in the winter? Is that what you're going with?
Do you want to be honest? It's
course.
slight laziness. It started being lazy, and then it kind of developed into something, and then it just became a little personal competition between myself to see sort of how long we could do, and then I've just kind of kept it going. It's sort of maybe a lockdown beard. I don't know if that's a terminology.
That's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing.
I don't know if that's a thing, but I would say lockdown beard. That's
it
one
suits
way to
you.
go.
It suits you, mate.
It's all right. It's getting there. Although the 30-year-old face and the 60-year-old beard doesn't really sort of help the sort of when we try and guess my age, but like we're doing all right.
Yeah, it definitely. I think it probably makes you look older than 30 having a beard like that. So when you do get older, you might kind of reduce the size of it then because you want to look younger. You know when that thing happens.
I'm hoping.
Is that Soccer Silver? By the way, I love your new logo. For those of you who are listening to this or watching this, obviously, go and check it out on your Twitter page. We'll do all your socials and stuff at the end. But I wondered if like Silverback was, is that why soccer Silverback?
Well, basically, one of my friends used to have a bit of a laugh with me about being sort of. I'm quite hairy, as we can see, and it sort of went through there. One of my friends used to sort of call me like the Silverback. Well, here he is. Here's the Silverback because of the sort of the hair and being quite dark haired. And it was funny. It's just when I got into this, it just sort of obviously my terminology is more football, but obviously with the growing sort of trend that we're seeing in a minute. Whether we call it football, soccer, I don't really know. So it was alliteration on the S's, Soccer Silverback, and I just thought it had a bit of a ring to it.
Yeah, I'm referring to it more as soccer now. I think in our space, we've got a heavy American influence. Trading cards, descend from the United States originally, so we have to work up there on their parameters. I think, and there's already American football, so we have to say soccer cards because it distinguishes. That even though to us as Brits, that's not our what we would refer to the game as. But all right, okay, so that's an interesting story. You did just kind of touch on it there, and you kind of said like when I got into this. So why did you get into soccer cards?
Well, it sort of started, I would say, just over maybe a year or so ago. What happened was I was looking for something to do and connect a little bit with my son, and we ended up deciding on Pokemon cards. That's where we sort of initially started. And then my natural background in sport is football. So it was one of those things I heard about cards and different people collecting different things, baseball, basketball. And then it was one day I decided just to have a little look on eBay. And I ended up just buying one card. And that was like about a year or so ago. And then I never really did anything after that for a little bit, and then I just started getting single cards just every few weeks, and it just sort of built up from there, and then it just became I started consuming a little bit more content, and it just sort of became more natural. It just kind of I felt more affiliation to it, and something that I felt that I could maybe add some value into that sort of world. So that's how I got started. It just started being hearing about it through different sort of sources, and I just then taken the plunge, and I just sort of got into it. And then the more I got into it, the more I liked it. And it's like, for those people out there that play FIFA, now there's like Ultimate Team in FIFA where you open packs and you sort of get these cards that come up and you can play with these players. It's like that, but in real life. Like, you're opening up these packs of cards, but do you know what? It's not a waste of money as such, because guess what? You get to keep these physical cards.
And some of them are worth a lot of money.
And some of them can be worth a lot of money, even though some of them are maybe even sentimental value, or some of them nostalgic, but some of them can be worth a lot of money. And that sort of, for me, just got me involved, and it just sort of resonated with me.
Yeah, so you've got the bug then now. It sounds like.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've got the bug a little bit, you know. I mean, I came at this, obviously I've come into this as a completely different perspective in a professional capacity. It's my
Yes.
work, it's my job. And I wasn't a collector before, and I've said this on multiple episodes, you know, I've been front up about this. The whole reason why I'm doing this is to learn more about the hobby, to speak to you guys who are in it, who are living it. But I've started, like, I follow lots of different guys now on Instagram and on Twitter and stuff, and I'm on the Futera socials a lot, so I see it all the time. And it is quite exciting, and it's such a cool, funky place to be. And we're still very early, I think, as well. Although the hobby's been around for a long time, this latest renaissance that we're going through, I don't think it's been properly picked up yet at like a society-wide level. So that's going to be interesting when that happens, right?
Yeah, I think when you hear a lot of people talk about it, especially the people that are in different sports, they always refer to soccer, football as having, even though we've had a lot of growth, you still hear them talk about there's still so much more growth that's there, that's potentially there in comparison to other sports, especially with it being a worldwide sport that's renowned around the world. It probably doesn't sit where it probably should within the card market as of yet.
Do you think that's all kind of hinged upon how much America as a market starts to engage with the hobby then?
I think so. I think, as you said before, America is the bread and butter. It's where it sort of started. It's where it's sort of the base of the card community all started. So I think we do need to see more growth in America. And I think with the potential World Cups coming up as well, and, you know, there being the 2026 World Cup, America being, or the US being part of that, I think we could hopefully see another nice rise there. And I think there's still so much growth in the superstardom that we see in the sport as well, with guys like Cristiano Ronaldo on like Instagram. And I think there's a lot of superstars there that sort of people can engage with and look upon as being people that they see that they want to collect and things like that as well. So doesn't matter what sport you're in.
You're the first person that's actually mentioned the World Cup in America, and is it being shared between America and Canada in 2026?
Yeah,
or is
I
it
think
the entirety
it's America.
of the Americas?
Yeah, so Mexico I think's involved in it as well, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm led to believe.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. So it's like a 3-country approach. And
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. And I think that's another good point, and that'll probably, again, on top of Qatar and even the European Championships to a certain extent, if they go ahead. Congratulations, by the way, Scotland are going to be there, which I bet you're chuffed about. We got a little We've got a little England-Scotland encounter
Yeah.
to look forward to, Michael.
Fingers crossed. Listen, we're keeping fingers crossed, everything crossed that that first of all it goes ahead safely. But yeah, like it's a mouth-watering tie for anyone in the UK to even just watch. So no, I'm excited about it. It's good as a Scotsman who hasn't been there for, I think it was something in the region of 22 years. It's great to sort of be back on that stage, and hopefully be involved in different sticker and card releases as well.
Yes, most definitely. Hey, I, as an Englishman, I know this isn't like. I know this isn't returned, but I I really like that Scotland are there. I like it when the Welsh get there as well. I just do. I know it's not the other way around. It's that kind of thing. Like as an Evertonian, sometimes Liverpool fans kind of pat us on the back and say, "We want you to be competitive," and I'm like, "I want you to get relegated to the conference because I'm an Evertonian." And they historically, well, over the last say 25 years, have been able to do that because we've not really been a threat. Hopefully, that's changing now. And it's probably the same. I mean, obviously, you want England to get knocked out early doors and whatever. You don't want them to qualify. I get it. It's fine. You don't need to pretend you don't. But not that you were going to anyway. But I actually I'm really looking forward to seeing the Scots there because you know what? Actually, as well, Michael, one of my earliest football memory because I'm 31, so I've got a year on you. If you're 30, obviously. And my earliest is that game at Euro '96 where Gaza scored put it over Andrew's head and volleyed it in a great goal again. Not one for you to remember fondly, but that's my earliest memory. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Scots in international football.
Well, the thing is, I remember round about that time. I remember it being such a national event. Like just having, I remember like the newspapers doing stuff. I remember things that you could pull out and put on your windows. It was just like such a national event, and you know what, it's such a shame. And I've seen it with like even like the Welsh recently when they did so well in the Euros, and it's really nice that whole bringing the communities together and stuff like that. And I think it's such a shame that we haven't really experienced that in quite a long time. And unfortunately, with the way times are, that we might not get to experience that same level of like sort of could be nostalgia, but it's nice being there regardless. In whatever conditions.
Yeah, because if it was things were opened up, then obviously you'd get all the Scots coming down for it and stuff, and
it'd be a great experience.
Yeah, it would be. Well, fingers crossed it goes ahead. So this current soccer card boom that we're in, then how have you been navigating that? I mean, I did see the conversation that you had with Steve from the Football Stop, and you mentioned that you were relatively new to this whole sphere, as you've pointed out on this pod as well. So how are you getting on at the moment? What kind of things are you doing?
Yeah, so one of the big things I've been really concentrating on is something that I kind of class as alternative collecting.
Okay.
So a lot of people, I think, there's a lot of products out there, a lot of releases out there that a lot of people are single-minded about, and they feel that we need to collect this. But unfortunately, I think for people of average salaried sort of households and stuff like that, it then becomes a bit of a moral dilemma. It's like, do I buy a hobby box at this particular price, which is maybe someone's a couple of weeks' wages at least? Or for those type of people, is there collections out there that you could maybe look at that is under the radar that would be an amazing collection potentially in say 5, 10, 15 years times? So it's kind of areas that I've been sort of trying to navigate and look at, potentially more than some other people. I've actually been connecting a lot more with people that are looking at the same sort of things. But I think there's a lot of areas out there that potentially that are really undervalued if you're coming into the hobby and you're looking for really nice collections. And that you don't have to go to the premium all the time. It doesn't have to be premium to have a really nice collection or something, especially for like the investment type sort of thing, that's maybe low risk but the potentially high reward is there as well.
Yeah.
So it's sort of an area that I've been kind of looking at more.
I get you. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a big. It's some of the prices are astronomical, and you know, and I think as a premium brand, you know, I'm well aware of that. Our releases in the past, the way we position ourselves in the market. So that's interesting to hear that you're kind of approaching things from a different direction.
Yeah, like I still try and open premium products, and I still enjoy it myself because I can do it. But it's an area I like to. It's that way of feeling that you're maybe getting a bit of a bargain, or like looking at areas where, as I said, it's maybe slightly more untapped than others, on products that maybe some other people sort of put their nose up at. But if you actually do the research and you actually see, you know, if for an investment point of view, there's things there at quite low prices that can either flip, or in the future there's evidence there that can make a profit if that's what you're into, or just have really nice collections.
Well, yeah. So we will have more information on this over the next couple of weeks. But we have, you know, a product that's going to be broken out a little bit more, that you can buy a card of. Again, I can't say too much. As opposed to the point I'm making there is, you know, as opposed to making that big one-time initial outlay. You know, you can break it down a little bit more as a collector and still get that quality. So again, I have to be careful what I say. I know the director will listen to this, and if I you know, drop the ball on anything, I'll be in trouble. What day 2021? What do you think it looks like for soccer cards then? With the Euros factored in and without the Euros factored in?
Yeah, I think it's still got a big year ahead of us. I think there's going to be a lot of nice products released throughout the year, and from a card perspective and sticker perspective as well. I think there's always going to be nice product out there. We're seeing a lot more. I think one of the big areas is obviously rookies, rookie cards, rookie stickers, and I think we're seeing a lot more 17, 18, 19-year-olds getting a lot more, either a lot more chances, or it's a lot more social media attention than they've ever been given before, which makes for very fun ripping of certain products and things like that, to hopefully try and engage in those rookie stickers and rookie cards for particular players. So I think it's a good year ahead. I think it would be nice to see the Euros go ahead if it can be done safely. I think it's always a great competition, especially now Scotland's in it. Cough, cough. But I think it's got a great year ahead, regardless of, you know, what the world and society is like just now. I think we're all sort of back in a lockdown just now. Has that got the potential, you know, to do what it did last year with soccer, football prices, and make them rise again? It's got every potential to do that. So, you know, I think the year ahead, I think there's a lot of good releases. I think the competitions are still going strong. The English Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga. I think the football's all still continuing. And I think there's a lot of, you know, going to be a lot of ups and downs throughout the year, but I think it's an exciting year ahead.
Yeah. You mentioned something there. It's just escaped me. I was going to pick up on a point that you said. Maybe it'll come back to me there. What was it again? We were literally. Oh, do you know what? I had it, and it's escaped me. I was going to carry on from the points that you've just made there, but it's gone. So I'll move on to the next question. I wanted to actually talk to you about Marcus Rashford specifically, because the football stop and I had a detailed conversation about him, because it was a player that, you know, Steve had you know, had mentioned that he was focusing on. And actually what I wanted to talk to you about is that kind of, I've remembered what I was going to ask you now, but we'll come back to that after this. So Marcus Rashford, how much of what a player does off the pitch do you think impacts his value as a not just from an investment perspective, but also as a collector, his desirability? How much does the cultural impact of a player have?
I suppose it's the sort of Gary Vee sort of thing, isn't it? That he kind of talks about, isn't it? Like he talks about that sort of cultural impact, and I get it totally. And I believe Marcus Rashford is probably in the UK anyway, is on most people's lips than any other footballer. Is it going to affect his card prices? Possibly. I think it will. I think potentially. I've got a sort of different theory with Rashford though than maybe some others have.
Give it me.
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of people. I'm going to kind of go the opposite. I'm still unsure with Rashford and his impact yet. I think he's still inconsistent as a footballer just yet, in my opinion. I think he's still got a lot of inconsistencies. I don't think he's anywhere near, don't get me wrong, not many players are anywhere near Messi, Ronaldo level, but he's not even at like a goal a game level. He's not, I don't think he's nailed a position either. I think that's another thing I think a lot of players and a lot of people don't really understand is once a player gets moved from the left, potentially through the centre, like it can get moved around the front line, it becomes difficult, I think, for them to, rather than a player who's a striker, he plays a striker every week. His aim is to score goals and create goals. Rashford can play in a couple of different positions, and until, for me, like Greenwood, until they can get a position that he's a striker every single week, he's the main man, then until he can make that position his own, I'm not sure. I think he will continue to rise, and I think it's potentially the market where the English market, and he's probably one of the players who looks like he could make that rise. But I still think he's a bit off. Like I still think he's a way off until he gets to that level. My personal opinion.
No, it's a good one. So yeah, I do happen to agree. I think he's a very competent footballer. He's a very talented football player, and that's not what you're saying. You're not saying he isn't. You're just saying that he's inconsistent. And
I think of someone like Haaland just now, like Erling Haaland.
He's nowhere near. He's not in that bracket.
I don't think he's at his level, and I don't think he, like Haaland will play striker every single week for Dortmund. He will goal a game every single week, or on that kind of average between appearances, and even if they will start him, more likely than not, as I said, as a striker. He'll not move out left, not move out right, out wide for the benefit of the team, which sometimes happens with Rashford. I think that he needs to cement that position as his own, and I think he's got the talent to do it. I think he has. I think he's a very talented footballer. I think there's a few things there that he needs to sort of, his stats need to sort of improve if he wants to be, the poster boy for potentially world football. So
I think if you put the question like this, if you say, is Marcus Rashford like where we all thought he would be at this point in his career when he burst onto the scene? He's been around for a while now. That's what it's crazy really when you think about his age.
I know.
It seems like he's a lot older.
I think he's talented, and I think it's one thing we do in the hobby quite a lot, which is bad on our point as collectors and investors and stuff like that, is we discard players too quickly.
That's a football thing. That's not
I know, but we do it. Like I'll give you an example. João Felix at Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
He got the big move. He got 100 odd million, which was mind blowing, right, for any footballer at that age. The card prices went right up, and that was it. He was the next big thing. He had a bad year, or he didn't perform to the standards in which some people thought he would perform that first year at Atletico Madrid. The card prices went down. He was kind of sort of pushed to the side. Oh, there's a new boy there. Oh, it's Haaland. He's the man. We're going to go for him. But then this season, João Felix has then went on the rise again. He's actually settled in Madrid. He's now becoming maybe a focal figure of that team. So I think we kind of reject people too quickly. But Rashford, he's got the potential. He's definitely got potential, and I think the work that he does off the pitch is phenomenal and can only help his card prices totally.
Yeah, because as you say, a lot of people are in agreement with the things that he's saying, and he is having a big impact in that area culturally, I think. Yeah, I think actually maybe the side of his game that he needs to improve is on the pitch. Hey, let's talk actually about another player that sprang to my mind as we were talking about Rashford, and the reason why is because he's a Scotsman, but also because we're the official licensee of Arsenal. So I'm intrigued to get your thoughts on this kid. See, I believe you're a Celtic fan. Is that right?
Yes,
You're a
I am
Celtic fan,
indeed.
so even more reason to speak about him. It's Kieran
Yeah.
Tierney. What's your thoughts on him as a player? How much potential does he has? Are we looking at a future Arsenal captain?
Best left back in the English Premier League, and do you know what? I'll back that up, right? So I've seen him.
I'll see you
play
and
for
raise your. I'll see you and raise your Luca Dean, but fair enough. We'll take it.
On up there. Well, do you know what? We right. If we do the comparison, a lot of people would argue that Andy Robertson is potentially, just because Liverpool won the Champions League, could potentially the best left back in the world. Potentially, like, obviously that's up for debate. I think he's better than Andy Robertson from a Scotland perspective. I think Tierney's better defensively than Andy Robertson is, and I think he's got more like strings to his bow in terms of going forward than a lot of people think. I think a lot of people see Andy Robertson, and Andy Robertson's got an amazing delivery. Like, it's one of his great traits is going forward and his delivery. But Kieran Tierney, as he's proven in recent weeks, he's also got that in his arsenal. Pardon the pun. So I think Tierney had a lot of injuries when he first came to Arsenal. That sort of deterred them. I think obviously he's Scottish. He's from like that kind of region. Never moved away. It's a big thing moving to London, where it's a lot busier and all that sort of stuff. And I think he's doing a little bit to acclimatise along with Arteta's tactics, because I think he's another one where we're talking about Rashford doing a lot for the team rather than individually for himself. I think Tierney was another one who was giving up a lot of his ability to help the team, where he was playing on the left hand side of a back three. I think now he's sort of went more in a back four, and he's playing his position, which is left back. And I've seen him against Man City as a youngster, terrorising. I can't remember who the right back was at the time, and he was phenomenal. I remember being at the game when it was 3-3 against Man City, and he was phenomenal. And I think that was definitely his level then. And then I think that like a season or so on, he developed even more. And I think he has got the potential to be the best left back, I potentially think, in the English Premier League, if not one of them in world football, depending on the state of his club in terms of their performances. But I think he has been one of the guys which has helped Arsenal turn that corner with his performances on and off the field. But I think he's a very underrated player that doesn't get the sort of attention. He's starting to get it a little bit now. I think the Arsenal fans love him now. They see the commitment on him. I just think he's got all good traits as a footballer.
Yeah. He's certainly impressive, and I'm really excited from a Futera perspective because, as I say, we have that official license for Arsenal, so we've got a vested interest in him being a success for that reason. But yeah, intriguing thoughts. Someone especially who's watched a lot more of him probably than I have. The question that I'd forgotten earlier that's come back to me was about COVID specifically and what impacts you thought the coronavirus had on the current boom. Now, you kind of attributed quite a lot to it. That's what you were alluding to, because you were saying in this current lockdown that me and you are both in now, again, being in Britain, I think yours is a little bit harsher than ours is down yours in Scotland.
Yeah,
Nicola Sturgeon's gone. She's gone. I mean, they're trying to, but Johnson's trying to resist a little bit down here, but Sturgeon's just gone fully for it.
Oh no, she's just like, nah, guys, you want out of that house? It's not happening.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm telling you, you're not coming out of that house.
So do you put a lot of the responsibility for the boom at COVID's door then?
I think it definitely contributed. I think that way, when a lot of people have a lot more time on their hands, they have a lot more time to do things, especially the whole furlough scheme that we had in the UK. So a lot more people maybe were looking for other additional hobbies. And I think maybe even a side hustle.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people thinking, well, could I maybe make, oh, well, I love football. These people could make a little bit of money for football cards. Oh my God, I need to do this. And I think that has potentially helped accelerate it. I think it was already sort of moving, but as I said, it maybe just accelerated it. And who knows with this sort of lockdown again, if that's the kind of same sort of thing that will happen. And it might actually, when we look back at it in maybe 6 months' time, and we see this lockdown, there not being a difference, then maybe it wasn't the lockdown initially that was the accelerator, if you know what I mean, because we can look at this lockdown and think, well, it didn't happen specifically at this lockdown either. So maybe if we look back, it was maybe just a little bit of an accelerator. It wasn't the full reason that there was a full boom. I think maybe it was just I think you had guys like Gary Vee talking about it as well, which is an influential, figure and millions of fans over the world. And I think when people on that level talk about a particular sport or a particular card and things like that, it just starts maybe whetting people's appetite a little bit and thinking, maybe I'll have a look into this, I'll get myself a bit of this. And I think it's been a combination of a few things that have led to it. Maybe not specifically COVID, but it's definitely helped it.
Is there an equivalent of Gary Vee in the soccer card space?
I think it's like Steve Aoki, the DJ. Is he not opened a few? I think I've seen him opening like a few.
He's doing some things with Tops, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing something with Tops anyway. I think I've maybe seen him opening some stuff. I'm waiting for the day that Ronaldo rocks up in his retirement with his son, with his like big binder, all this sort of different product, and just say, "Look, guys, look what I've been doing over this year. Look at all these Ronaldo cards." It's taken something like that. There's definitely got to be a player out there that has, that there's definitely, like, if I'm a footballer, I'll tell you right now, if I'm a footballer and then I know there's a company releasing some cards of me, I'm definitely getting my mum on the phone trying to get some of these cards.
Well,
so I want to see the guys that retire. I want to see those like big chunks of like signature cards and 101s and
yeah. I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but again, that official license that we've got with Arsenal, Aubameyang loved his Futera cards, especially the gold-plated, 24-karat gold-plated cards. I mean, as you can imagine, and he was drawn to them, and we were having got. I don't think we managed. I don't think that. I think that maybe it was very busy, obviously, and he wanted something more specific. Maybe it's something that we can go back to as a company. But yes, the reason why I tell you that story is because when the players, we do these signing sessions with players, obviously via the clubs, and I've not been exposed to them yet, unfortunately, because I've come in during COVID and I can't go to them. It's a crying shame. And when things open up, hopefully I will be able to, and I'll be able to kind of bring the camera with me and you guys can see it all. But they're buzzing about it. You would be. You would be, wouldn't you?
Listen, I'm no bothered how much money these guys make, right? If you've got something there that's sort of this memento that even when you retire, your football career can be very short. Like, I just think it's a great little piece to have, regardless of what it is. If it's base cards, whatever, specialised cards, I just think that I would want to pick them up. I don't know if that's me being vain. I don't know, but I just think I would want to pick them up.
Do you want your own Futera card?
Oh, I'd love it.
There you go.
Let's
see what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
But I think, see, in general, I think it's maybe going to take something like that. I think it's going to take someone with a bit of, a bit of sort of social media presence again, just like sort of the Jake Paul and Pokemon thing, or no Jake Paul, Logan Paul and Pokemon, where it ended up being that big boom again. It's not starting to go down now, but like it's still higher than what it was, because of that, and gave more eyeballs on the sort of trading card game. So it just takes one person like that to sort of get into it, and then everyone's jumping on board thinking, oh my God, he collects these cards. And yeah.
I think you're right. I think there's definitely a space there. I mean, again, I've had a couple of conversations with some relatively big names in the football space.
Well, I'm looking forward to the photos and the videos of these guys and these signing sessions and stuff like that. Let's see.
The guys that I was talking to a big content creator yesterday who, again, I can't say his name, but he is pretty sizable. You would probably know him, and he was actually a Futera fan back in the day. You know, he had the fan selection cards. We're a similar age, so he was collecting the fan selection cards, and yeah, so we've been having chats because I do think there's real kind of scope for someone who's, especially someone who, I think they have to have a passion for cards. There's plenty of people talking about them, obviously, that are already passionate, and then there's people like me that are from the manufacturer side, that are, the publisher side, that are doing this type of stuff. But I think there's someone out there. I think there's maybe a British equivalent, a European equivalent of like a guarantee. Maybe a player, whatever. Who knows?
I think it was sort of similar to myself. I initially got into Pokemon, randomly. I maybe collected a little bit when I was younger. I randomly got into it, and I think once you start collecting things, you start maybe collecting other things, and it just sort of goes from there. So I think you maybe potentially seeing a lot more kind of crossover people that initially collected one thing and actually finding the passions elsewhere. Definitely think I'm seeing sort of things like that in the hobby just now, where a lot of people maybe were into baseball, but then they're seeing soccer cards and thinking, I want myself a bit of that.
Yeah, I think so. Apart from the players that we've spoken about, Tierney and Rashford, are there any others that you think have a lot of potential at the moment?
It's a difficult one. The percentages of being up there and being a Messi and Ronaldo nowadays, I think generational talents it's very hard for people to sort of get to that level. But very good players, Haaland's definitely the guy, I think, just now. I think the figures that he's putting on the board, the stats, the presence that he can show. I think he's definitely showing that he's got that superstardom potentially about him. You've got Szoboszlai, I think that's how you say it, who just moved to Leipzig from Red Bull. I'm interested to see how his development goes at Red Bull. It was an interesting move going there because a lot of people, I got a lot of backlash on Twitter because
on Twitter? That's not like.
Well, I think it was because I think it was because an Arsenal fan was giving me grief because I said maybe Leipzig would be the right move for him instead of Arsenal at that present time. So I think that looks like it'll be an interesting move. It's more of a development move than a money move. I think he'll still be on better wages and better conditions, surely, but I think it just seems like the progression wise, it's a very good move for him for his development because he's still only like 20-year-old or very, very young and with lots and lots of potential. So definitely those two. I think they're seeing a lot of 18, 17, 16-year-olds like Gio Reyna, Jude Bellingham, Ademi, who's 18, who's also at Salzburg. He's another one that I'm interested to have a look at. So there's lots of players out there just now. It's just whether they can take that step for being 18, 19, 20 and being fringe players to then taking that step up and being the main stars for their team and doing it week in, week out. But I think there's a lot of potential out there just now.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And who do you think will be? What do you think will be the first $1 million soccer card?
I've heard talk about this, and I think I'm in the same boat. I think I'm not a huge. I don't have huge knowledge on the vintage sort of side of things. There is more people. I think like Steve was saying on the football stop. There's probably more people than me that has that knowledge, but I definitely feel that if a card was going to do it, then potentially like a Pele card. Just with that nostalgia of him potentially being arguably the greatest player in the world. I think potentially an early Pele card would probably do it, but you never know. That's the thing. All it takes is Ronaldo to come out with his binder, a Futera, and then hey, you never know. That's it. That could be it. That could be the card that we're
Fingers
all.
crossed. I mean, we
Know,
down the years again. I would say this obviously, and make no apologies for it. But down the years, we have done some really beautiful Ronaldo cards. If you got, there's some that pop up online and that now, obviously that people are selling and moving around and stuff. And some of them are gorgeous. Like, I mean, he's a Ronaldo, as I said on the podcast, with Vincent actually from Card Hour. That hasn't been released yet. That'll be coming out in the next day or two. But like Ronaldo's very photogenic. So his cards look good anyway. But we've done some really nice ones. So maybe it'll be hey, what about that? That's the first person to suggest that. Maybe it'll be a Ronaldo Futera card.
Well, we just don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. It just takes somebody with big pockets just to come in and just say, do you know what? I want a piece of that. But no, I would say my gut instinct would say probably one of the earlier Pele cards that Steve was talking about. The football stop. I think definitely one of them would probably be my guess if I was going to guess one just for gut. But we don't know.
And before we hit record on this podcast, great timing. You told me the postman had actually turned up with some Futera cards for you. Have you got them there?
Yes. So this is actually really weird. That I was actually going to get, regardless of what's happened, I had a few Futera cards anyway. I had them there and I was going to look them out, and then just randomly the postman came and I ended up doing a sort of swap with someone on Twitter just for different cards, and he had the Celtic collection, and it's just nice. I'll just give you a little sort of peek.
For those of you listening who can't see this, Michael is currently showing me the fan selection. This is one of our well, now it would probably be considered retro, definitely from the 90s. Our Celtic set that we did.
And I'll give you this one as well.
So nice.
So and then I had quite a few in my collection anyway. Being a Celtic fan and being hardly any cards out there for my team. There's not an abundance of Celtic cards, unfortunately. But I've picked up what I can.
Yeah, I think they're definitely a club. I think the name, the brand Celtic is definitely something that you want to be synonymous with. So although my Scottish team is Hearts, I must lay those cards on the table. Celtic they're such a huge club, and I'm quite proud of the fact that Futera are out there, and we've got our set, and we can. If you're a Celtic fan, you can look and find our cards. I like that.
And it's brilliant. I think a lot of time I'll have a look every so often to see if there's any additional Celtic cards out there or what's out there, and a lot of the time it is Futera that comes up on the search engines when I have a look in regards to Celtic cards. So they're definitely lovely sets, and as a fan, it's lovely to have those players from those particular years of me growing up and stuff like that. It's a fantastic little collection and memento to have.
And my director Gwyneth, who actually is Scottish, she might kill me for suggesting this on the podcast. But if anybody from Celtic is watching or listening, I don't know the specifics of what goes into a licensing deal yet. But get in contact. We can have a conversation, and you never know, we might be able to link up again.
Well, the thing is, it's one of these clubs, along with Rangers, they're worldwide institutions. I think they don't get to where they get to, on the European stage sometimes, and keep themselves up there. Just purely on like money from elsewhere. It's a lot. It's fan involvement and fan engagement. So there's definitely a market out there for us Celtic and even Rangers fans out there.
And Hearts.
I'll be biased.
Hearts.
I'll not potentially Hearts. Potentially Hearts.
So, final question then, Michael. This is a good one. I ask this to everybody. If you were on my side of the fence, if you were head of marketing at Futera, what kind of things would you do?
I think it's an interesting time. I think with a hobby, I think pricing, having a look at pricing, I think is a big one. I think the current situation we're in the world, I think it's very important to have, a range of products for different people at different salaries. I think that's one big thing. I think where it be maybe not hobby boxes or special collections, maybe having the sort of match attacks of the world or the Panini stickers. I think that's all. Obviously, everything's sort of different. Each people have got their own marketing and where they aim for, but I like to have like a range, a potentially different products that's maybe even released throughout a year. That's all different price points and all different varies of collections. Like even whether it be specialized things, where I think Tops have started getting into the Tyson Beck sort of thing, where in the soccer football card market, where it's specialized, whether it be specialized graphic design sort of cards, or where it be having even links to other people, where it may be things like Football Manager, or it could be like FIFA, because another thing around which is interesting is obviously licenses for use guys and stuff like that. So I think companies I like the idea in my head of potentially certain players potentially maybe like FIFA kits, or because then you're taking away the sort of that replica sort of kit thing, and it's something that's a bit different. And I like these sort of ideas. I like to be like, I think those kind of things would work really well with a different audience. I think there's a big audience out there for that kind of. It maybe is more that's maybe more a sort of kid friendly sort of things. But I think there's a lot of personalities out there as well that see a lot of traction just now. Guys like Chunks and stuff like that, who've got their own things like that. I'm thinking like a Chunks top 5, like certain cards and stuff like that, and like collaborations like that. I think would be pretty cool, and especially as a limited edition thing where it gets guys like myself involved, and then just want to create a hype about it. And next thing you know, like these cards are people are wanting them because there is a limited edition of these cards and stuff like that. So yeah, I rambled on there. It was just a variety of different stuff, but it's because I'm quite passionate about the sort of hobby and just getting stuff out there and trying to sort of where best to meet the demand of try our best to meet everyone if we can, like where we can.
Yeah, no, hey, look, mate, that wasn't rambling at all. There was some interesting suggestions there and ones that I haven't actually had. So I think you make some very good observations. So yeah, thank you, Michael, for coming on to the Soccer Cards and Chill podcast. We will most definitely do this again at some point in the future. Before we go, just tell people where they can find you.
Well, I'm mostly on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram just now. Looking to hopefully start the YouTube venture some point this year, hopefully soon. So, but mostly TikTok, Soccer Silverback on all social media handles. So just if anyone wants to follow or get in touch, chat, feel free.
Great. You're going to have to... I'm completely lost on TikTok. I've set us up a Futera TikTok, but I don't really know what I'm doing. So maybe I'll be dropping you a line to get some insight on that. And obviously give us a plug on there as well, because I don't think we've had too much exposure on TikTok yet. So man, cheers, Michael. I'll speak to you again soon.
No problem. Thank you. Cheers.